good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for your willingness to kind of share with us your heart, how God has used you at the Lake Forest Church there in Huntersville, and just to hear some wisdom and counsel from you that will bless the kingdom and grow the church and will make a difference out in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to ask you a question, Mike. Just going back to the very beginning of the Lake Forest Church, 23 years old, you are the founding pastor. What were those early years like, meeting in a bowling alley? When I think of the Lake Forest Church now, that doesn't come to mind. I think of the wonderful facility you have, but what was it like in the early years?
Scary. I was one bad sermon away from going to work as a barista, and also exhilarating. We worshiped in a bowling alley and then in a roller skating rink. I preached underneath a disco ball, and it was exhilarating to really, I mean, this sounds trite, but lean into the Lord every week to pull off Sunday worship. It was exhilarating also because young baby churches, statistically speaking, or the normative way the Holy Spirit works in North America, reaches a high number of previously unchurched people per 100 attendees. And we absolutely saw that. And so Joel, our first Sunday, 2 people gave their lives to Christ. And I knew that something of eternal significance had happened, even if our baby church only lasted a few months. The Lord had longer plans in store for Lake Forest Church than that, however.
Did you ever dream that it would be now 4 congregations between 2,000 and 3,000 members, attendees? Did that ever enter your mind?
No, multi-site church was not in existence at that time. It was an idea in God's head, apparently. And we never set a numerical number. I never actually thought about that. We always did say, how can we make room for more? How can we be winsome with the gospel for one more person at a time? And so that was the way that we always thought of it. And still today, we've never set a numerical number, but yes, this is more than I asked or imagined in that regard.
Mike, talk a little bit about the evolution of your own leadership from those early years to leading now one of the largest, strongest churches in the Charlotte Metroplex.
The earliest seminal leadership challenge and growth moment that I recall, Joel, was we had disharmony in the first year among I called it the steering team. We didn't have elders yet. And I appointed 4 persons, and in my haste, I abrogated what Paul says: don't be too quick to lay hands on people to ordain them to leadership. You need to observe their life. And I made some mistakes there, which led to extreme disharmony in our leadership team of 4 for the first year and a half. And the details don't matter today, but it was pain. So at the same time, there's this great fruit of this baby church coming out of the ground that looks really unique, and we're seeing people come to Christ. In the background, I'm going through the greatest pain and challenge to my own personal leadership, and including accusations and such. And the Lord worked all that out. It was okay. There was no one evil in the mix. It was mostly my immaturity. And so I needed to heal up from the pain of that. But the Lord, thankfully, I went to a spiritual director mentor of mine, and I went to kind of lick my wounds and have him say, oh, here's how you heal up, and good job, and keep going. And he led me into, Mike, you're exercising leadership at a level you never have before, the point pastor. I think the Holy Spirit is exposing parts of your flesh and your carnality in leadership that have never been exposed before, because you didn't have to use those muscles. And how about if we use this for your sanctification? And so I learned a concept that I think of as leadership sanctification, right? A little bit different from don't smoke, don't chew, don't go with girls who do, the ethical side of holiness. But I then began to learn to identify and recognize flesh patterns that came out of me. And there are certain triggers in leadership circumstances with certain types of people, for example, at which I would retreat and act in out of the flesh and not the spirit. And so that's maybe the first time I became conscious of that there's such a thing as ongoing sanctification in your leadership behaviors and styles, not just growing in competency and skills of strategic leadership, but also, yeah, just exposing new parts that need to be made more like Christ.